Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to Mismapasion, your premier destination for all things women's football. And the inaugural CONCACAF Women's Gold Cup has come to a close with, as expected, the Stars and Stripes of the USA claiming the honors in a Hartford 1-0 victory over Brazil, which is the match that we will be reviewing in this video, as well as summarizing the tournament as a whole. Now, the last time we saw the USA perform, it was under a cold and bitter night sky that was emphatically highlighted by the heavy rain that severely hampered the proceedings of their semi-final clash against Canada, which resulted in some highly warranted criticism as to why the match was allowed to go on in spite of these horrible conditions. I myself commented that the situation was not good, and that maybe some better judgment could have been utilized under the circumstances, but thankfully this time round for the final itself, the weather would play absolutely no part in negatively impacting the match, as the San Diego sun was well and truly out to make conditions as close to perfect as one would hope for. To the match itself, and things did not start so well for the Seleção, with news breaking pre-kickoff that stalwart defender Rafaela Souza will be missing from the final due to a foot injury. And if you know anything about her, then you will know that it would have been an absolute hammer blow to the Brazil team, as they were now missing their captain. But looking at the actual match itself, and Brazil were the ones dominating the early proceedings as highlighted by an audacious shot from outside by Antonio, which did nothing to work Neha unfortunately, unlike Duda's free kick shot that threatened to go in but just went out eventually. Brazil had dominated the entire half holistically, with them regularly attacking the opposition box and running the entire US defense ragged with just the sheer frequency of which they were attacking, the only sore spot being that Brazil weren't doing enough to regularly find themselves in good quality positions to put themselves on the score sheet, as the majority of their shots were coming in from no closer than just after the edge of the box for the most part, when in many instances they could have afforded to take a touch or two more before firing off their shots, which would definitely have guaranteed some goals for them. This was especially due to just how defensively solid the Seleção had been, with the USA offering next to nothing to threaten the Brazilian keeper Luciana up until the dying embers of the first half, where Lindsay Horan snuck up to claim a cross and head the ball in to give the USA the lead. And in the second half, it was more of the same, with Brazil being the regular threats in attack and maintaining their defensive solidity, which ultimately yielded no positive result as the USA went on to win the match 1-0. From a personal point of view, I think Brazil were hard done by to not come out of this match as the winners, as I really do think that they did just about everything required to win the match, or at the very least push it into extra time. The team was well organized in the back and were daring up front, but their inability to create and carve out more clear and concise scoring opportunities against the USA did prove to be their undoing. The US defense, to their credit, despite coming under regular siege throughout the entirety of the game, were able to quell the storm of the opposition in no small part due to their veteran experience and the high line they played that was imperative in preventing Brazil from having the aforementioned clear chances to score. It was a generally pragmatic performance from the USA, as exemplified by their approach to the game, where they allowed the opposition to have the ball and dominate in key metrics like passes and shot volume, but making sure that it counted for nothing by the time the final whistle came round, whilst in the moments they had the ball, the Americans would make it count, as they were the only team in this match to generate any shots on target in the game, which really tells you all you need to know about how they approach the game. This is a huge commendation of the outgoing coach Twyla Kilgore's tactical nous, especially in such a big game. Arguably, the foundation that she has laid in preparation for the impending arrival of Emma Hayes will see the USA continue to be a dominant force in the women's game for just a while longer, especially considering how they are still in the throes of their transition period. Tactically speaking, both Kilgore and Arthur Elias set up their teams in the best possible way to win. And whilst the USA came out on top, especially thanks to their trump card of having veteran and serial big match players like Horan in the team, the Seleção do look like they're finally back on the right track of being amongst the firm names in the conversation of the best women's national teams. And given their record in the tournament of 5 wins and 1 loss, in addition to some of the talents that they have in the squad that are on the up, it is hard to not suggest that it is a matter of time before Elias and his charges start claiming some heavyweight scalps in the national scene, sooner rather than later. And as for the tournament as a whole, I think it was generally a good display of some of the football that is on offer in the CONCACAF region and also the CONMEBOL region, thanks to the representatives in Argentina, Brazil, and Colombia. I think every team that took part got a moment or two to shine and make a strong case to advocate for the continued, and in most cases, improved support for the women's game in most nations, because there's clearly a wealth of talent that is more than ready to show out for their country and could be potential household names globally, but only with the right infrastructures put in place for them to shine. There are too many examples of what happens to a national team in women's football that is so clearly full of talent and has the ability to compete for major honors, but are then regularly let down by their federations, which is one of the particular reasons as to why the likes of Jamaica were nowhere to be seen in the inaugural edition of the Gold Cup. And also, from a general point of view, it would be remiss of me to not mention the organizational aspect of the tournament, because I really think a lot more could and should have been done to make the Gold Cup infinitely way better than what we got overall. I personally cannot recall any of the stadiums being or feeling anywhere near packed, and even the final itself was generally lacking a big match feel from the stands, even for the home team USA, which was playing on home soil. To me, it stinks of poor marketing and branding by the organizers and not a very good job of getting the word out that the Gold Cup is going on. Because just to use the USA again as an example, you had fans travel across the world to support them down under in Australia and New Zealand not too long ago. But this tournament seemed like an afterthought in their minds for one reason or another. But nevertheless, shout out to the fans who actually did rock up and made enough noise to almost disguise the emptiness of the stadium. They really helped make things feel a lot less bleak. I think if the next World Cup is backed by a massive marketing machine, then it will be a huge success, because really, it's small things like that which are instrumental in bringing as many eyes as possible to the product that you're offering. Make adverts for social media and radio. Buy up ad space on billboards in the host country and other participating nations. Hell, even promote the theme song before the tournament starts to build anticipation. Because yes, CONCACAF only made the song available to the public just 10 days ago, which is smack dab in the middle of the tournament, and has only amassed 3.5 thousand views, which is a really bad return on investment in getting people hyped for the tournament. Because honestly speaking, this channel, my channel that you're currently watching this video on, only has around 300 subs, whereas CONCACAF has 688,000, which is over 2,000 times what I have, and yet I have a video or two from last year that have more than double the views of the CONCACAF theme song Vamos, so they should really be doing more to have their content be visible, especially considering that you're trying to push the viability of the Gold Cup and not have it look like something that's only there to be a mandate to check off so that you can be seen to be doing your part by the wider footballing community. I've rambled enough at this stage about marketing and branding, but honestly, that all comes second to the overall health and welfare of the players. As much as an agreement could have been made to let the game go on by the key figures with vested interest both on and off the field, what happened between the USA and Canada can never happen again, and future tournament hosts and organizers need to make sure that whatever and wherever they decide to host games have the best possible infrastructures available to reduce any impact caused by the elements. Under no circumstances should the health and welfare of the players, referees, or any other on-pitch personnel be put into jeopardy by preventable hazards that can be effectively addressed before a tournament kicks off. And hopefully what happened in that game will be taken forward by CONCACAF and any other organizers on board to prevent such things from happening ever again. There needs to be a certain level of standards in the women's game and just in football in general, so that these kinds of things that can cause serious injury do not ever happen. With history being made, I would like to say a massive congratulations to the USA for winning the inaugural CONCACAF Women's Gold Cup tournament. And finally, club football can have all the attention from the world of women's football, especially with the Women's Champions League coming over the horizon in just over a week's time. If you have enjoyed today's video, then make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And if you're interested, I have put the link to the World Cup theme song Vamos in the description below. And I think it's quite a nice tune, so if you're looking for some honey for your ears, don't be afraid to give it a listen. See you in the next one, and goodbye for now.